trolley problem is a thought experiment which was first explicitly discussed by Philippa Foot in a 1967 paper analyzing the arguments brought about by the abortion debate. The term trolley problem was coined some years later by Judith Jarvis Thomson in 1976 in an article responding to Foot's paper. The thought experiment is most commonly described as the following. An out-of-control trolley car is speeding down the tracks. Directly in its path are 5 human beings who will be killed by the trolley. You, however, have access to a lever that will divert the trolley onto another set of tracks. The issue is that these tracks have another person on them who will die if the train is diverted. For the purposes of the scenario, the only possible choices are to pull the lever, and in doing so, save 5 lives at the cost of 1, or do nothing and doom those 5 to their grim fate. While simplistic and extremely contrived, the trolley problem does raise some interesting questions. Would you divert the trolley, or not? Kill 1 person or 5? How would you sleep at night haunted by the specter of what you have done? The moral dilemma of weighing if the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, as Spock put it, is uniquely compelling and has been asked in many pieces of media that includes Punishing Grey Raven. Finally, we get to PGR. Spoilers ahead, by the way. In Extra Chapter 4, Echo Area, Grey Raven's squad is forced into a trolley problem of sorts. A secondary plot element introduced in the previous chronological chapter, referred to as the Red Tide, poses a greater threat than previously thought. A semi-sentient blob-style entity taking the form of a crimson liquid that rises above the ground before receding below at regular intervals. The tide covers a wide area measurable in square kilometers, continually spawns strange and deadly creatures, and is steadily approaching the coastline. No one knows what will happen if the red tide reaches the ocean, but most characters are confident it wouldn't be a good idea to find out. Being rational, the higher-ups decide the best course of action is to blow up the red tide from space with a giant laser array. The only issue in this dazzling display of technical genius is a small human settlement right in the path of the red tide and well within the blast zone. So here Grey Raven's squad enters, the twist being that they are not the ones holding the metaphorical lever for the trolley. The Grey Ravens are at this time commanded by a storied officer who has total authority of when and where the laser will be fired. Someone who also has visible disdain for the Grey Ravens, seeing them as undisciplined and unprepared for the true cost of conflict. So there the 4 protagonists are, unwilling to be the direct cause of technically avoidable human death, but they too see that far more is at stake than the lives of a few dozen innocent bystanders. Unexpectedly, there is little attention given to which choice is the least horrible/immoral. Instead, moments of introspection are spent contemplating why this situation is such a labyrinth of a question. The trolley problem itself has been criticized as completely unrealistic and dangerously simple, unable to provide any benefit through its exploration. Here, PGR sidesteps this issue, not by pretending to know some overlooked key to morality, but through exploring the what and how of the cast's interactions with this conundrum. You may disagree with their conclusions, but their reasoning is clear. Grey Raven's squad refuses to accept that death is the only option, attempting to find a loose thread to unravel the issue before them. Their idealism is contrasted not only by their commanding officer's single-minded march forward, but also the man at the very top of the human command chain, President Hassan of the space station Babylonia. Hassan was well aware of the human settlement and its seemingly inevitable destruction. He knew that the Grey Ravens would hold on to their idealism, which had served them so well in the past. That's why the squad was not placed in charge of the operation. Hassan needed the Grey Ravens, but he also wished to shield them from the blood that had soaked his hands long ago. So, the President appointed an old friend as the executioner to carry the burden brought by this simple reality. The many or the few. To kill and to save. At this episode's conclusion, an alternative is found at the last moment. Idealism remains steadfast in the face of a grim reality. For the moment, at any rate. The question remains unsolved, but perhaps that is the best possible outcome. There is something morbidly compelling about the trolley problem. Something that has ensured its relevance throughout the decades. It can be explored through many viewpoints, and it was a memorable experience to see such a dehumanizing scenario through a viewpoint that is all too human.